podcast. I'm Eli,
And I'm Luke.
and we wanted to just kind of do this little bonus kind of episode because a little over a week ago we finally got to attend a Kiss concert for the End of the Road tour down in Cincinnati at River Bend. Luke and I, along with his fiancee Savannah, went. This was her first time seeing the band. What was her reaction after the show?
She thought it was awesome. She's been telling people ever since that it's one of the best stage shows she's ever seen, actually.
Yes, excellent. Always, it's just better and better every time for some reason. Yeah, it's always a great time. It's kind of a religious experience, so to speak. Goosebumps and all that stuff. Every time that curtain comes down while they're setting up, like that just gives me chills enough. And then of course at the start of the show, I mean, so yeah, we just wanted to kind of come on and give a little recap of the show and some of our favorite moments, and probably slide a little couple video clips and photos that we took at the show on this video as well. So let's see. Opening up, we had David Garibaldi doing his painting. Um, I was, I guess I'll say I was a little more entertained than what I kind of expected to be. To be honest, I was kind of like I kind of knew what to expect, what he had been doing. I kept saying I wouldn't have been upset if we had showed up while he had already been, on stage. But I'm kind of glad we did catch it from the beginning. What'd you think?
Yeah, I thought what he was doing was really cool. But yeah, I mean, the anxiety of knowing Kiss is coming any minute it took away from it a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. I was ready for him to be done when he
Yeah,
was done. But if he had been on his own, or just if I'm scrolling through Facebook and a video of him doing what he does popped up, I would have been super interested to watch it. It was really cool what he did and how he did it.
absolutely. And I will say that it felt like he didn't go as long as say if they had an opening band,
Yeah,
because I know that's even worse. Like it, and not just because some of them tours they've done with some great bands, but even at it gets to a point where you're still kind of like, okay, I'm ready for Kiss. I'm ready for Kiss. And one of these, and how much more they got. But with him, it felt like it went by fairly quick. I mean, I think he only did like what, three paintings.
I think so.
So he started off. I'm sure a lot of you know that watches because you've probably been in the shows, but he does, like kind of a mix of the music by the particular band that he's painting. So first he did a Mick Jagger painting and had all that going on. Then he did the Angus Young from AC/DC, of course, and then as always he finished it up with the Kiss portrait like he does for every city. Rips the thing off and it says Cincinnati, and um, they must have changed it up because they were showing on the screens that you donated a minimum of $10. You texted it to this number, and it would enter you to win the painting, like just a minimum of $10. And I swear, from the beginning of the tour, and the way they kept talking about it, that they were literally doing an auction for the painting. So I'm not sure how that worked, if it was online or maybe only the VIP people got to go backstage and bid on it. So I'm positive that's what they did at first. So they must have not really found much success with that way. So they just kind of decided to change it up and hey, donate at least $10. You can end up going home with this thing. Plus, it got signed by the band.
Right.
Um, so that was kind of cool. I mean, so but yeah, by the time he was done, I'm kind of like, oh crap, like he's done already. It didn't feel like he was up there that long, but cool. It's like it's time for Kiss, and
Yeah.
like we said, sure enough, that curtain eventually comes down as they're setting up, and just that anticipation, and as most people know now that have been to enough shows, as soon as you hear "Rock and Roll" by Led Zeppelin come on, it's time. Um, I was telling you at the show, I remember like I never get more pumped up hearing that song than when I'm at a Kiss concert,
Yeah.
knowing that Kiss is about to start when I hear that. Um, So yeah, it was just killer. So I'll let you go on now.
Yeah, that's it's always interesting. It's been this way each time I've seen them. I don't think it truly sets in what's happening until that curtain drops.
Yeah,
Even through the all right, I think being in the tribute band has desensitized that even just a little bit. But when that curtain drops and they came down out of the ceiling playing Detroit Rock City, the heart jumps a little bit. It's like,
yeah,
that's really them. That's
yeah,
that's those guys. And having seen 100 tribute bands and being with Sweet Pain, of course, it's easy because there are 100 people out there that look like Paul Stanley. But I remember thinking specifically when he came out to the middle stage for Love Gun and I Was Made for Loving You, looking at him fairly close to where we were, and thinking that I've seen 100 guys that look like this guy, but that's him. That's
yeah,
actually him. you know,
yeah.
it's
And he's in much better shape than all those guys. You know, no offense to all of them, but hey, I mean, the guy's almost 70 himself, and he's in that good a shape. And
yeah,
um,
went all out up there, jumping around
yeah,
like it was nothing.
yeah, it's there's just something special every time when they're coming down on that intro and just like you said, it's them, it's really them, and just as many videos as I've seen, it's like they all say, there's nothing like being there because everything just looks so much more vivid in person. The pyro and the colors of it, and because like at the beginning of the show, you guys will probably see it if I insert the video, but like they had that like kind of, I don't know what you call it, but like the raining gold looking stuff, and that just looks so smooth the way it was coming down, and just everything about it, man.
Yeah,
And they even had the extra pyro things out like on the sides of the stage, like off the stage this time, so that was like an added thing. um, but kind of jumping ahead, since you mentioned Paul out on the B stage, let's talk about that for a minute, because had a little bit of a malfunction with that thing at this show. So we kind of got to experience one of the kind of rare Kiss mishaps that happen in shows from time to time. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it was what, the middle of I Was Made for Loving You.
he tried to come back.
He,
Yeah,
yeah, he gets back on the thing like he normally does to go back, which I was thinking he didn't go back until Black Diamond, because I swore I had seen clips from the earlier shows. But anyway, so he gets on the thing to start going back, and he's just kind of sitting there on and nothing's happening, and immediately we're kind of like, oh crap, like something's going on, and you see him kind of looking at the stagehand that's down there at the end, and he eventually just gets back off and keeps on going like nothing's wrong. But I'm sure at the same time he's thinking, crap, I'm going to be stuck out here for the rest of the show.
yeah,
And I was thinking that would have been an interesting sight, seeing them trying to get him all the way back to the stage.
yeah.
So then what happened next?
Well, when they went to end the song, he decided to come back again. So the band was kind of holding that last E chord, and man, it was slow. It came back, but it was so slow, and it was precarious. You weren't sure when what was going to happen, and then they actually a stagehand got out on the scissor lift on the stage on Tommy's side of the stage, and it raised up so that when he got there they could catch him and pull him off of that, because I don't think they wanted to lower it like they would have needed to. I don't know what was wrong with it, but yeah, no, they raised the stage up to him instead of lowering him down to it. But it was funny seeing him when he was hanging there, because he was hanging there during the "I Was Made for Loving You" chorus with the bombs,
Yeah,
and it was like he was just watching it.
yeah.
And I don't know if you caught this, but during one of those bombs, he even did this with his hand as he was hanging there, like he's critiquing the show. Like that was hilarious.
It's like doing that night after night, and it's like clockwork, and then immediately, like you could just see what he's thinking. Like he's immediately staring at the stagehand, like, "What's going on? What the hell?" You
Yeah,
know, thinking on the spot, and it. And then I noticed when they got him off of it, after the song ended, he was kind of standing there and talk. So I don't know if, I don't know if he was at the point of being mad at someone and yelling at them, or they were just discussing, hey, what happened? But something was being discussed there.
Yeah.
um, and hopefully they had fixed the issue and, have continued it using it at all these shows since, which I haven't even really seen any footage of anything since the show we've gone to. And I wish I had filmed that, but I'm sure someone did. It's probably on YouTube somewhere. More than likely, you can easily end up finding pretty much the full show of every show, if you look hard enough. Um, so, um, so kind of rewinding a bit then. Again, I don't remember the full entire set list by memory, but as usual, they opened up with Detroit Rock City, of course. Excuse me, still using. I was wondering if they were still using that intro video because that, to me, that's kind of gotten tired too.
Yeah.
I was kind of hoping they didn't still use the video, but they do. Um, but the people that don't know better, they believe that it's a live shot. So hey, that kind of, it's part of the mystique. I understand, but it's just it kind of gets old in my opinion. But um, and then of course within what 30 seconds of that screen going blank, they're suddenly announcing the band and they're dropping from the ceiling.
Ceiling. Yeah, it's too bad the curtain didn't go all the way across the stage, so we actually saw Tommy on his riser go up while that video was playing.
Yeah, that was kind of interesting too. Because we were both kind of like, I hope that they're gonna pull it around to cover the rest of that or something. But
Yeah.
and I was kind of hoping they were gonna curtain off kind of the side area of the stage because our angle you could see, and it just kind of killed the effect in a way. But once the show kicked in and it was dark and everything, it didn't really matter too much. Plus it was kind of cool because when they were getting Gene's sword ready for the fire, you could see them back there behind like it was almost like the Wizard of Oz. They were behind like a curtain, but you could clearly see the flame, where they were getting it ready, and then brought it out. Uh, so after Detroit Rock City, what was it? Shout It Out Loud, I believe.
Yeah.
Um, hey, typical. I mean, good show. Shout It Out Loud. It's a staple. Of course, they're going to play it. Other than that, I'm not 100% sure. They still did Say Yeah from Sonic Boom, so kind of sort of a deep cut, and you could tell there was a good amount of people there that didn't know the song, and um, they maybe kind of lost some of the crowd a bit with that, but of course they gained them right back with whatever the next track was.
Deuce.
Cool. Deuce, nice. So that's always just a killer track live, no matter what. Um, cool to see the video screen stuff in person finally. Especially during I think it was during Deuce. They would start showing just a big montage of vintage clips throughout the whole song, and that was very cool.
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised that the little Deuce dance didn't go on longer.
Yeah, and I noticed, which I'm sure Paul and Gene haven't done it for a number of years now, but they don't do the little thing between themselves like during the solo
Right.
and then towards the end there. But I wish they would have brought that back. But I mean, hey, you still get the thing at the end, and yeah, that's kind of the more signature part of it, I guess.
Right. Right.
Let's see here. Shout Out Loud, Deuce, Say Yeah, and then I Love It Loud, yeah.
Oh yeah, I had that in the wrong order, didn't I? Yeah.
And then Heaven's on Fire. Um, Sounded pretty good. I mean, I will say overall, I thought Paul sounded pretty well.
Yeah.
Um,
You
You
can
know,
tell his voice isn't where it was, but I mean, the dude's 70. You know?
yeah, and you could tell he's not lip syncing anymore,
Yep.
which that's an old subject. We said that many shows ago before we even saw this live because you could tell from videos. And he deliberately says extra things on the microphone that
Yeah.
there's no way that they could have had that recorded or
Right.
anything, and you could just tell it's a live mic. You could tell the difference.
Yeah. He said Cincinnati so often that they would have had to have specially recorded that. And if you're going to specially record each show, why not just really sing it?
Right. Speaking of that, something that was funny is Gene. He kept saying Sin City all night,
Yeah.
and I'm kind of thinking, why is he doing that? Because Vegas is called Sin City. But I think what happened is typical Gene fashion. Someone probably told him that people like to say Cincy as the name, and he probably misheard it or forgot, and then he kept saying Sin City. Typical Gene fashion, but that was kind of fun.
That's pretty funny. Yeah. Yeah.
So next was War Machine, which is where Gene breathes the fire at the end there, which was cool. And then they go in to lick it up again. We've discussed this, that tired won't get fooled again thing in the middle.
Yeah.
Um, but I don't know. Seeing it live again, I don't know. I guess it did kind of hit me a different way this time. I guess to me it kind of sounded a little better than what I remember it sounding at the last tour.
Yeah. It was a little
Uh,
different too. It,
right,
which I was at the beginning, I was actually wondering, oh man, are they doing something totally different? And then it ended up going into the same thing. But
right.
yeah, I wasn't as bored as I expected to be with it.
Yeah, absolutely. Then we go to Calling Dr. Love. Pretty straightforward performance on that one.
Yeah.
And then one of probably my favorite moment of the night, 100,000 Years. Um, always so cool to hear that song live, and Gene doing the little bass tease at the beginning, and kicking into the song. Um, and then not to mention, of course, Eric does his drum solo here, which killer drum solo, man. Probably the best drum solo I've seen him do since like the Revenge tour. He's really doing a proper solo here, not like some of the stuff they've done in recent years where it's just him doing a few things and him and Tommy kind of doing something together. Like he's finally getting a proper, full solo and just does a lot of cool things in there. Playing with the crowd, on the screen, and drums sounded great. Him using those concert toms now just really makes a difference. And I got to noticing since we were at the show, I was looking at some things online. And it looks like they trigger and mic the drums. So that makes sense because them drums sounded so nice. Especially when he would do like the double bass and different things like that. You could tell just certain things were standing out overall. So
Yeah.
what was what are some of your highlights up to this point?
Um, a lot of different stuff. I liked the kind of the '80s homage there. Starting with "I Love It Loud" and going clear up to "Dr. Love," where they did a bunch of songs. We really weren't sure if they were going to touch much on that area, and it was nice to see him do all of that. I gotta say, along with all of those things about Eric Singer, I think I might have been most impressed just generally at this concert with him because a lot of people since he's put on the Catman makeup have accused him of playing like Peter,
Mm-hmm.
and whether or not he was doing that, he is not doing that now. He was throwing all sorts of little cool stuff in, little double bass bits, weird timed rhythm things that you wouldn't expect. I would definitely liken what he's doing now more to the way he played on the Revenge tour.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It was great. It was nice. I was not let down a bit by that.
Yeah, he was definitely back to true form. He must have said like, "Hey, if this is the last tour, I want to go all out and do a proper solo again." Because I even remember on the Freedom to Rock tour, it didn't seem like, I don't even recall him getting a solo on that tour. Now that I think about it, um, I think the closest thing to a solo he got was, that little part there on "Look It Up" with the "Won't Get Fooled Again."
Right.
So yeah, so glad to see him back to doing that stuff, and just he definitely got the crowd going with his solo.
Yeah.
Um, did a lot of cool things, and then of course, adding the classic little cowbell drum fill thing that they do on 100,000 Years. They threw all that in there too, so it just added to it, man. It was so cool.
I made sure not to look at a set list. I think I had seen a set list early in the tour. Like maybe I would have expected a couple of things if we had seen them back in March when they were in Columbus. But
Hmm.
I had just it had been just long enough that I had completely forgotten that 100,000 years was a possibility of them. So when this one started, I think I was like, oh yeah,
Yeah, yeah. Like, I don't know why, but it just feels like it's been so long since I've heard them play that,
yeah,
and it almost felt like a deep cut in a way, like just like, oh god, like, yes, I love this. And um, I want to say they were doing Christine 16 on the earlier parts of this tour, like maybe even when they hit Ohio last.
I can see that.
Um, and I feel like we got the better set list, to be honest. Um, so let's see here. So after the drum solo, we go to Cold Gin, and then immediately Tommy does his solo on this one, which, uh, I honestly felt like his solo got a little abbreviated on this tour, and I didn't feel like he did a whole lot. I felt like it was more just about, shooting the rockets, which was great. I
Super
meit
cool, yeah,
very, yeah, very visually stunning, especially at the end of it where he kind of did like the three or four all at once, and it was cool. But as far as you know, a proper solo, I just feel like he didn't get to do a whole lot. He kind of did the typical Ace a live solo, like a little bit of that, but not enough of Tommy himself is, I guess, what I was wanting to hear.
yeah,
Is him kind of doing some of his own flavored stuff like Eric got to do.
right.
But yeah, again, visually very cool though with the rocket stuff, and
Cool
enjoyed that.
too. You don't see him with a flying V very often.
Yeah, yeah. Speaking of guitars you don't see him with often, is one of the guitar Paul pulled out.
Yeah, he had that reverse Ibanez Iceman, kind of like Paul Gilbert.
Yeah, and someone actually had just brought that up. I think today on Facebook, I was looking at a Kiss group, and someone posted a picture, and they asked, "Has anyone seen Paul use this guitar before this Des Moines show?" And I was gonna post like, yeah, he hadn't since he, but so it's definitely caught other people's attention too. It's definitely a unique type of guitar for Paul.
Yeah,
Um, so wow, like we go into God of Thunder, like I didn't even, I don't know why, but it didn't hit me this way at the show. But my God, we go from the drum solo to the guitar solo, straight to God of Thunder with Gene doing the blood, and that whole thing. Oh, it never gets old, man.
yeah,
um, I just love the part when they brought back the bell like he used to do during Creatures, and
yeah.
it just adds that kind of like monster feel to the whole thing, and with the green lights and all that smoke going on. And I kind of like that he doesn't do the actual flying thing up now he's just kind of on a platform that rises up, and he actually stays up there during the whole song now instead of coming down during the solo.
Yeah.
And um, and and again, finally seeing the video in person, how they had the faces on all the, oh, that was so cool, man.
Well,
Oh, I was unfortunately kind of watching Nose more than I was watching the actual band or Gene, during the song. But yeah, that's one thing about a Kiss show. There's so many different elements to look at. You just kind of have to pick and choose for each song, and
Right.
You know, sometimes I found myself just kind of watching the screens for certain parts and then watching the actual stage and whatnot.
I thought he had a cool little bit in his blood spitting routine too that I hadn't seen before.
Oh yeah,
He pulled out a towel, and I was like, what is he gonna wipe off? And then he actually spit on it, and then turned it around. You could see blood splatter. It was after the oh yeah thing, right? He was oh yeah, oh yeah.
yeah,
Then he pulled it out, spit, and went yeah.
yeah.
And
You
then
hear,
he's like,
you hear him go. Yeah, tossed it right out to the crowd, man. Those people were lucky, man. I saw him toss a few towels out that night, but especially that bloody one.
yeah,
And I think he even tossed like a water bottle or a cup or something at one time, and let alone all the picks they throw out and everything.
yeah.
But yeah, that that was a nice little part. And I'm trying to think, was it maybe it was during Cold Gin? Was it where Gene was messing with Tommy?
Yeah, yeah, he was a little too close too. I think he actually licked Tommy's face. Either that or it was an act because Tommy backed up real fast and Jane was going,
I mean, like if you looked at the screen, like Gene perfectly looked at the camera, like, and you could just see his face looking straight at the camera with that look of disgust on his face, like, oh yuck.
so I don't know if that was planned and just executed really well, or if he really did like him.
Yeah, and then of course he licked his finger and went down to where the sun doesn't shine.
Yes.
Oh, that was a funny spot, man. I
Yep.
like that. Um, so wow, then we go into Psycho Circus, which I still love that they added this to the set. I just feel like it, and especially so far down the set, I've said in the past I wasn't a fan of when they were opening shows with this song. I just didn't like it as an opener, but the way they did it here, it felt right. It sounded better again for some reason than what I thought it sounded last time they played it. Um, and you know, again with the video treatment in the background, you got that kind of carnival looking thing around the edge of the video, and just kind of added to it. And um, then we got "Let Me Go Rock and Roll," which is always a crowd pleaser. Just gets people moving, and all that good stuff there.
Everyone.
Um,
Me.
yeah, everyone but Luke. He's like, ah, damn it, this song again.
What a waste of precious time. They could have done "Gimme More." They could have
Yeah,
on the eighth day. They could have done "No, No, No."
could have done "Talk to Me."
Oh,
So then after "Let Me Go" was "Love Gun," which we pretty much already covered with Paul's mishap and all that. But other than that, though, cool performance of the song, and oh man, the pyro at the end of the song when they do the that was cool, man.
yeah.
Because I was expecting Paul to do because he would do, yeah, kind of like, hey, check this out or something like that, and then but this time they just kind of surprise you with it, and you didn't know exactly when it was coming, and the way the pyro did it perfectly was just, it was awesome.
Yeah. Interestingly, too, if you check out this the setlist.fm, which
Hmm.
is you can find our set list here. After I was made for loving you, it actually notes Paul on stage in crowd. Paul's transporter malfunctioned on the way back to the stage.
Oh, nice, awesome. Yeah, see, those are the kind of things like, say, like the Kiss of Life Forever. If they ever do an updated one with this tour, that's the kind of thing that'll be in there, and we can say we got to see it. Little things like that.
Yeah,
Um, so yeah, like you just said, I Was Made for Loving You was next. Same thing with all that, and then of course the false ender to the show, Black Diamond. Always killer hearing that too. Eric does such a great great job singing that. Uh, Tell him what was our favorite part of that.
oh, gee. So, you guys, I'm sure all of you know, in the last verse, he's always done this. Shoot, I think Peter's always done it. Eric Carr probably did it. He usually says something about Gene or Paul, you got me under your thumb. This time he went, Gene Simmons!
He sounded so like happy about it, and I don't even think Gene called it because usually, Gene will kind of be like, yeah, or I don't think he even looked at it. He probably didn't even catch that.
It was
That
cool.
was funny. I was cracking up, man.
Yes.
Um, and I've always loved towards the end there when they, the drum riser goes up and um, they do that little stop, and all of a sudden those spotlights hit and they just look like silhouettes, man.
Yeah.
God, that gets me every time. And they don't quite hold it as long on this tour as they did, like say previous tours recent. But still, just that visual is just so cool, man. Like I always wished I was close enough to get a real good shot of that, or hopefully maybe put out a poster or something one of these days of that shot. I mean, it's so to me, it's so epic looking, and I get goosebumps every time they do it. I wish it's something that we were able to replicate with our band.
Yeah.
If we had that right kind of lighting and stuff, but it would be so cool, man. So that was the end of the main set, and then of course we get our encore, which always starts with Beth, with Eric on the piano, of course, as we all know now. Um, that was cool. Went off without a hitch. And it was cool that how at the end of the song they all kind of walk out, and kind of gives you the vibe of the Paul Lynde Halloween show when they did Beth on there, and they're kind of standing around the piano as Peter was singing. It kind of gives you that vibe to me, and so then they do their bow and everything, and kind of going back and forth to each side of the stage, tossing drumsticks and things like that, and Eric playing around. Even for all those Ohio State fan people, he said "Go Buckeyes," which I didn't like. but hey, he had to throw it out there. Everyone knows he's a Ohio boy too. So, and then we got uh, I guess you could kind of say it's a deep cut, "Crazy Crazy Nights,"
Yeah.
which they had recently replaced because what were they doing here before? Oh, I cannot think now.
I should.
Somebody help us out here.
Yeah. Let me see if I
Um,
can. Oh,
but I know they had replaced this recently, or this replaced a song is what I'm trying to say. And I know there was even at least one show where they did Shandy in this spot instead of Crazy Nights.
which that would have been super cool.
Yes, yes. And honestly, I was a little worried to hear how Crazy Nights was going to go. Obviously with Paul, but you know what? I thought it sounded pretty good. I thought he pulled it off the right way, and it sounded really good, man. And not to mention they had, they were dropping. I believe it was on this song they were dropping those Kiss balloons, and uh,
Yeah.
everyone tries to keep them, and unfortunately they didn't. None of them got close enough to us to grab any, but
Yeah.
they were.
Keep throwing them back at the band, and the band would have to
Yeah,
kick them off the stage.
yeah, and I don't think I had ever seen that before. Like out of all shows, it's this one, and they're Paul and Tommy's up there kicking balloons off the stage, and but they were slowly disappearing one by one because people were catching them and deflating them. So, and then of course the big finale is always Rock and Roll All Night. So confetti galore, just raining confetti, and I thought it was really cool that they had a confetti gun actually facing out towards the people on the lawn this time. Like that was really cool. Like to really make them feel like they're a part of the show. Because I've sat in the lawn plenty of times watching Kiss at that venue, and they never did the confetti out that way. So it very cool that they did it this time.
Yeah.
And then of course it happens again. You know, on the last chorus of Rock and Roll All Night, and here it comes again, and streamers and all that stuff. And,
Yes.
um, so yeah, overall just super great show, man. It's always a good show. Um, I know a lot of people were saying that this ended up being the better show that they've seen. Period of Kiss, like out of all years, however many times you've seen them. I don't know, man. I don't know if I would say that. I mean, it was 100%. fantastic show. It always is. I was very entertained. I felt like this was a little bit better show than the Freedom to Rock tour. I thought, but I don't. I'm not even sure what I would say my favorite is though, because they were all so good in my opinion. It's really hard to say which one, but this is definitely a good one. There's never been a Kiss show that I've felt disappointed when I left. I mean, that's for sure. It's never been that bad. What do you think?
Yeah, I was thinking the same. I of course haven't seen them near as much. I don't remember the farewell show much at all since I was so young. And then I saw them twice on the Sonic Boom tour in 2010. Uh, and I think hands down this was a better stage show than the two Sonic Boom concerts that I caught. Um, so at least there's definitely that. Of course, the performances were spot on par. I wish I could remember the farewell thing better because I would have liked to have, uh, you know, remembered Paul's voice being a little better because I think his voice was better this time than it was on the Sonic Boom shows because that was
Right.
when he was in the thick of whatever was going on with him. I do, however, remember at least the second Sonic Boom show, which was at the Indiana State Fair, being loud, really loud. And this I felt wasn't that loud. The bombs were loud,
Yeah.
and the music wasn't quiet by any means, but it wasn't like, oh man, you know.
Mhm.
And I remember them being like, my ears were ringing when we left the Indiana State Fair, that sort of thing. So I was maybe, I don't want to say let down. Let down's way too harsh, but
Yeah.
I was hoping that it was going to be a little bit louder. But yeah, no, I think I would say this is of the times I've seen them the best.
Nice. So this was the first time you've seen them since the Sonic Boom tour.
Right.
So we're talking at least 10 years probably.
Yeah.
Nice. Yeah, my first one since Freedom to Rock, which I guess at this point had been, I don't know, 2 years or so roughly. But like I said, I felt like this was a better show too than that Freedom to Rock. Now, I will say my favorite thing about Freedom to Rock was, of course, when they were honoring all the troops at every show and bringing out the troops, doing the Star Spangled Banner, which I feel like they should always do that now at this point.
Right.
But that's our tribute band does that. We make a point to do that at every show now, basically because of that. So I guess at least we're keeping it alive in one way, not to pat ourselves on the back, but
Right. If they're gonna do
uh,
the stupid Who thing and lick it up every time, they can honor the truth.
yeah, yeah. Oh man, so just an overall killer show, and I was telling you, I don't know why, but I just don't have that sad sort of feeling about it. Like I don't, for some reason, I don't feel like this really is the last time, even though it probably is, and I totally understand and respect if it is. But
Right.
I just remember back during that farewell tour, just even watching that Last Kiss special, like I remember feeling kind of emotional even at that, like at the end of it, and just kind of like, oh man, like this, yeah. But I don't know. For some reason, I'm just not feeling that this time. So I don't know if it's maybe call it a little bit of denial or something. But I don't know. I just feel like in some way it's gonna keep going, and at least for another year or two, as far as Kiss, and then as far as after Kiss, if that really is it. I don't know. I just feel like something's gonna happen one way or another
Yeah.
to keep the music alive. I mean, it's always going to be alive, but you know what I mean as far as like being performed, and
Yeah.
whether it's like Gene continuing to do his solo thing, or maybe Paul does too, or something. I feel like it's going to continue one way or another.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, I just and also I noticed today. Well, not today, but I just noticed recently that the show that's coming up in L.A. at the Staples Center, which I was starting to get these weird thoughts of maybe trying to fly out there to go to that show, which is probably who knows how crazy of an idea that is. Well, apparently that show's been postponed.
Yeah, like by a lot.
Yeah, it's not taking place until like March now.
Yeah.
something like that. So we know for a fact they are going to be doing shows next year. So we know that now, whether it's that one show or it's going to be another leg, because we are still holding a little bit of hope that they are still going to come our way, because they haven't played Dayton, which is where they played on the Freedom and Rock tour. So I think they should or will come back to there. As far as close in our vicinity, that's probably about it. Um, there's a few places farther north here in Ohio that maybe they could hit, but I think Dayton is one for sure that hopefully they will come back around. So maybe that's another reason, because I still feel like we have a chance to see them again before it's all said and done, hopefully. So I guess at this point it's a waiting game, and see what happens with that, and just glad to be able to say that we saw them on this tour, and whether it is end up being the last time or not, it was a blast. And we didn't even look at the merch booth. Didn't want to. Um, I figured, I can just order a tour book or a shirt or something, which I haven't even looked yet. But I figure they'll pretty much always be available. So, I
Yeah.
mean, if anything, if I have to wait until the next expo, I could probably just pick one up there. I'm sure
Right.
if I have to just wait that long.
Yeah.
So we'll see. Uh, so wow, this video's turning into almost an hour video itself. So, uh, I guess we'll kind of end this now. If you guys stuck around to check out our whole recap, we appreciate it. Final thoughts?
Oh man, I think you pretty well covered it, man. It was an excellent show. Not sorry at all that we kind of even broke the bank to go.
Yeah,
And yeah, I really hope they come back around. I'm hoping they said it was going to be 3 years, and it's only been what, one maybe.
yeah, if
So
that.
yeah, it's plenty of time for them to come back around and hit again. And if they do, unless I'm living in a box on the street, let's do it. Yeah.
Yeah, we made a point. We said, if this is the last time, let's go a little out and let's sit in some seats this time. Because, like I said, every time I've seen Kiss at that venue, it's been in the lawn.
Yep.
And then Freedom and Rock Tour was the first time I sat on the floor. Like, I can't remember. It was like maybe 18th row, something like that. But it was one of the best experiences. And ever since then, I'm like, okay. So yeah, we definitely want to go a little more out for this one, and especially if it is end up being the last time, and so it was well worth it. I would do it again in a heartbeat, if not even better seats if we're able to afford it. But
Yeah.
uh, um, so yeah, so hoping for sure that they do announce another leg for next year, and they end up hitting back here in Dayton, or at least somewhere close again. And we will be there for that too. So, all right, so we're gonna get out of here then. Again, if anybody was at the show that we went to, um, I know Andrew from Kiss My Collectibles was there. Well, unfortunately, we didn't run into him. Didn't even know he was there until afterwards when I saw it on Facebook. But if any of you guys were there or you have seen, I know Javier. I know you just saw him. I think last night or something. So we want you guys to come on, share your thoughts and reviews of the show too, and even just come on. We could talk about it some more if we got to. So I just we want to hear everyone's feedback on the show, and what you guys felt about it too, because it's always just a magical experience to say the least. So I guess a little shield promotion. Speaking of our Kiss Tribute Act, if anyone in the Ohio area is looking for a show, we on Friday the 13th, September the 13th, Middletown, Ohio, at a place called the Madison Inn. We are performing there, and also the following week, September 21st, here in Huber Heights, outside of Dayton, a place called the Double Deuce Tavern. We are performing. If you go to the Sweet Pain Facebook page, you will find both event pages that will give you the address and info. So hope to see some faces come out. Say hey to us if you see us, and that'll be good. My kids are going crazy, so we're gonna get out of here. Thanks everyone for checking out the recap and listening, and again share your experiences with us. So we'll see you next time.